Why do I meditate? I have anxiety. It's pretty much constant. Sometimes it's just a very faint sensation in the back of my head, or a subtle and slightly elevated heart rate. Sometimes it is an all-consuming terror that every single action I take will lead to heartbreak and disaster. It comes and goes in waves of intensity from day to day or week to week, but it's my constant companion, and a very unwelcome one. To others around me, I might be perceived outwardly as rational, relaxed and confident, but oftentimes there is a tempest of fear, panic and self-doubt raging inside my head. I am almost always convinced that any path I choose will lead to the worst possible outcome for me and those around me. I am convinced the future is filled with pain and misery because of my choices, and it clouds my perception of the world, sometimes to the point where I literally cannot think straight. However, for most people, anxiety is a good thing. Anxiety is an evolutionary powerhouse. Without appropriate anxiety responses, our ancient ancestors might not have anticipated the venomous snake hiding in the grass, or been disturbed by the rustling in the undergrowth at night. It is the trigger for our rational and life-saving fight or flight response. It is a valuable and effective signal of potential danger. Unfortunately, for people struggling with anxiety, this warning of potential danger is active all the time, even when there is absolutely no threat whatsoever. For me, the worst thing is knowing it's all nonsense. There is no logic or reason for feeling like this. I am fortunate enough to have a very happy, safe and privileged existence. All of my turmoil is entirely internal. I don't know where it stems from, but it's all based around intense worry about past events or possible future outcomes. My favourite description of anxiety is this: anxiety is conspiracy theories about yourself. I have sought counselling on a couple of different occasions. The sessions were a huge help for me, and I would seriously recommend anyone going to see an objective and qualified professional to talk through any difficulties they might be facing. I've also read some self-help books about mental health, which offered me a new perspective. I am a creature of logic. I am a man of science through and through, and would not consider myself particularly spiritual. However, after watching a documentary about the science of meditation a few years ago, I gave it a try, and I've never looked back. What is mindfulness meditation? Mindfulness fundamentally comes down to a simple premise: to exist completely in the present moment. To be completely mindful of the thoughts and actions you are undertaking right now. To not be concerned with past mistakes or future plans, but to perceive every sensation as it happens in the present. We are sentient, intelligent creatures, and as such, we interpret the world around us in order to try and make sense of our reality. Inevitably, these interpretations are influenced by our thoughts, beliefs, memories, and opinions according to our individual personalities. We are each the main character in the movie of our life, and as such, we perceive all events as happening to us, when in actual fact, these events are just simply happening, with or without our influence. By being mindful and objectively observing the present moment, we can reduce the possibility that we might take things personally, or overreact, or become overwhelmed by every inconsequential event. I guess this whole concept can be summarized by the popular saying, "It is what it is." Mindfulness may sound like a new buzzword or latest craze, but it essentially has its roots in the ancient philosophies of Buddhism and Stoicism. And it isn't even a special skill that we need to learn from scratch. Every person has the capacity to be mindful. It's part of what makes us human. Meditation is simply a tool to achieve mindfulness in a structured and intentional practice. And it's called practice for a reason, because sometimes it is very difficult. Like many things in society, Hollywood, pop culture, and society in general has created a false image of what meditation is. There is a general perception that the goal of meditation is to empty your mind. Firstly, there is no goal, as the existence of a goal implies we are working towards an event at some point in the future, and we are only concerned with the present moment. Secondly, it is impossible to empty your mind. We humans are thinking machines, and we're very good at it. It's what we do. There is no right or wrong way to meditate, and there are a huge variety of tools available to help calm the mind. But there are some core, simple techniques we can use to help anchor us in the present moment. Centrally to these is the breath. We all breathe, all the time. It is an autonomic response, which means it happens automatically, and as such, it is something that we can use to focus the mind. Think about the breath. Feel every inhalation from the moment it enters your nostrils and flows down into your lungs. Feel your lungs expand, a very slight pause, and then follow the exhalation all the way out. Repeat. This might sound easy, but try it. Close your eyes and take 10 long, slow, intentional breaths, thinking only about the sensation of your current inhalation or exhalation. As soon as another thought enters your head, try to acknowledge that thought for what it is. Forgive yourself for being distracted, and then return your focus to the breath, starting again from the beginning. This might help demonstrate just how difficult it is to control our busy monkey brains. The point, of course, is not the breath itself. It is the quality of awareness you can find while paying attention to it. Physical sensation is also a great focus. Pick any part of your body, your fingertips, your knees, the back of your neck, the bottom of your feet, anything, and focus on it. How is the temperature? The air pressure? Do you feel your clothes on your skin? Do you feel gravity pulling you into your seat? How does your skin feel? Focus solely on the physical sensations you are experiencing right now, for as long as you can. And when you start thinking about what's for dinner or those new jeans you bought yesterday, acknowledge those thoughts for the natural process they are, and return your focus to the physical sensations. All of your other senses are great anchors too. If it is possible for you to do so, listen. Truly listen deeply to your surrounding and focus on the sensation of hearing. Focus solely on the clock ticking or the birds outside. Do you hear the wind or the traffic? Also, meditation does not have to be done with eyes closed. Again, if you are able to, try it with your eyes open. Do not fixate on objects or spaces. Just relax, keep your field of view wide, and perceive the display of colour and shadow arrayed in front of you. And when you start thinking about the argument you had with your best friend when you were 8 years old, or why you didn't go to the gym this morning, acknowledge those thoughts and return to the physical sensation of right now. You can meditate anywhere, anytime. You don't have to find a beautiful nature spot or burn incense and listen to Tibetan monk song. Of course you can if you want to. You don't even have to sit. You can stand up or lie down. Walking meditation is a thing, and despite what you might have seen in the movies, you don't even have to put your hands like this. Just sit comfortably, relaxed, while maintaining a good posture. I find that guided meditations really help to focus my thoughts. Personally, I use an app called Waking Up, but there are loads of others. There's also a bunch of guided meditation videos freely available on YouTube, and this is where I started. Here we are talking about formal practice, and these formal practice sessions are now an essential and highly valued part of my daily life. I try to meditate every day, sometimes 10 minutes, sometimes 20, but just like regular physical exercise, sometimes I skip sessions, either intentionally or unintentionally. But I don't beat myself up about it. After all, some meditation is better than none. It isn't just about formal sitting practice either. The natural expansion of this is to take the peaceful feelings of present moment acknowledgement and carry it throughout your daily life as much as possible. This can be done purposefully by using some of the focusing techniques periodically throughout the day, or even subconsciously. Since starting regular meditation, I've found that my overall happiness and peace has grown hugely. I feel less anxious and less stressed almost all the time, and this appears to be backed up by some incredible science. For example, MRI scans have shown that a course of regular mindfulness meditation physically alters the structure of the brain, appearing to shrink the amygdala, which is the part of the brain associated with our fight or flight response, while the prefrontal cortex, the part associated with awareness, concentration and decision making, seems to be strengthened, When I first started my journey, it was extremely difficult, and I still have days now, almost 5 years later, when it is literally impossible to quiet my frazzled and fearful mind, when it's impossible for me to access the present moment or slow down my racing heartbeat. But these days are now becoming fewer and farther apart thanks to adopting a mindful approach to life. I've been a fan of physical exercise for most of my adult life, and now my formal meditation sessions have become just as regular and just as important as any workout or run I undertake. Anxiety is manifested in a number of different ways, but for me, it is essentially deep worry about possible future scenarios. Nightmare what-if situations are constantly playing in my head, even though there is absolutely no chance that they will come to pass. My mind perpetually exists in the false narrative of a future where every worst-case scenario is guaranteed to happen. However, I've found that by living mindfully and centering myself in the present moment, I can retrain my brain away from these self-destructive and entirely imagined negative thoughts. I try to exist purely in the present moment, where there is no danger or pain or suffering, only peace, clarity, and the objective truth of what is actually happening right now. I believe mindfulness meditation is an invaluable tool, not only for people struggling with serious anxiety or depression, but for any human living in the 21st century. For any human living in a manic, digital world being bombarded by information 24 hours a day. For any human who is physically and emotionally attached to their smart device, anticipating the next moment of validation or distraction. For any human who is struggling and hustling to make the most of themselves and their time in this hectic and competitive society. For any human who is perpetually living in the mistakes of the past or the unfulfilled promise of the future. For any human who is so restless that they cannot simply sit with themselves in quiet contemplation for a few minutes. It's not a trope or a cliche, and it's certainly not easy. For me and countless others, meditation works. It vastly improves my quality of life, and I would urge anyone I meet to try it. It will take time, effort, and patience, but for me, the peace, acceptance, and clarity of thought that comes with an uncluttered mind is absolutely worth it. The impact is subtle, but the effect not only helps me to be kinder to myself, but also encourages me to be kinder to others around me. Along with intense physical exercise, a healthy diet, and good sleep, mindfulness meditation, and mindful living in general really do help me to live a happier and more peaceful life.